What's up guys, Everything Apple Pro here, and the Samsung Galaxy S7 literally right around the corner. We've got an announcement date and the iPhone 7 a little bit further than that. But in this video, I wanted to talk about both of these phones, mostly the Samsung Galaxy S7, because I cannot contain in words how excited I am to see what Samsung is bringing to the table with their latest phone. With this video, I'm going to give you a very, very good idea of what that is. We actually know almost everything there is to know about the Samsung Galaxy S7 and all of its exclusive features that Samsung will be announcing on February 21st at the media event. So alongside, I wanted to talk about the iPhone 7 a little bit and how these phones will compare feature-wise. Can the Samsung Galaxy S7 compete with the iPhone 7 or vice versa? So I just want to say, this is an Apple channel. Naturally, I'm going to be talking about Apple a lot, but the Samsung Galaxy S7, man, just looking at the features that have pretty much been confirmed all but by analysts, I am so stoked for it. Like, is it right for me? Is it right for me to do that? Is it okay? I don't know. But anyways guys, so there are about 5 to 10 major features in the Galaxy S7. Let's get started with one of the biggest ones, and that's bringing back what made the Samsung Galaxy S5 great. And that would be waterproofing. So it's no secret now that the Samsung Galaxy S7, most of its details spilled all over the internet. There are even press renders that leaked. Take a look at them. It looks very suspiciously similar to the Samsung Galaxy S6 and S6 Edge. Very, very similar, just the home button is a little bit squared. Other than that, the camera maybe looks a little bit bigger, but otherwise I couldn't tell much. So with the Samsung Galaxy S7, Samsung wants to reinforce their position in the smartphone market. They want to tell Apple, hey, we listen to our customers. We improve so much upon what brought us here. And basically, the Galaxy S7 is going to be bringing back a lot what made older Samsung Galaxy phones popular, including waterproofing. So we don't have much details, but it will be fully submersible, and I'm so excited for that. That's cool. Who doesn't want a phone that doesn't need a waterproof case? And as we all know, the iPhone 7 will be releasing with either water-resistant technology or waterproofing entirely. It'll be made easier by the removal of the headphone jacks, so there's one less port to worry about waterproofing wise. There have been so many patents that Apple's actually filed with sealing techniques for completely filled borders. There will be no gap in between the display and the body, which will be made possible with a new liquid metal alloy. It'll be actually very, very interesting to see how these phones compete in the water. The depth-wise, I'll be sure to test everything, but both phones will be waterproof or water resistant at the very least. The S7 will also be returning to its roots with the addition of a micro SD card. So the actual storage of the S7 is set to come in 16, 32, and 64 gigabytes, depending on locations and all that. But I really don't know about the 16 gigabyte. It might be included just as an afterthought because you can't upgrade the storage. It'd be embarrassing to see the iPhone 7 with a 16 gigabyte storage option. But basically, you can upgrade the micro SD up to 200 gigabytes. Nowadays, with cheaper, faster storage SD cards, it makes so much sense to be able to upgrade your own memory. It's cheaper. Why pay a company like Apple $100 to get the next increment, and you can even go above that and get way more storage, however much you need. Really cool that Samsung's bringing that back. Not quite a removable battery, but they are making progress in that as well. So the new S7 is set to include a much bigger battery, about 20% bigger, from 2550 mAh to 3000, supposedly on the S7 itself. On the S7 Edge, there will be a 40% increase. So from about 2600 to 3600 mAh. Now, I don't know how accurate this is, but it said the S7 Edge will just be a standalone model, as they're actually increasing the screen size up to 5.5 inches, completely removing the S7 Edge Plus models. So you're pretty much getting 3 new S7 models. And I think that kind of makes sense, but some people like to have a screen choice. Don't know about that fully. It's not confirmed, but a lot of analysts are saying that will be happening. So it's no removable battery, but having that extra amount of juice is going to be amazing. It's going to be a huge stab at Apple because, you can't replace the battery. Might as well make it as big as possible. And Samsung seems to be just going all out, taking all of the input they received about the S6 and improving in all of the important areas. I think it will be a killer. I hate to admit this. I hate it, but I am so excited for the S7 because I just know it's going to kick Apple's butt in many of these smaller things. Who knows about the processor and power and all that, the usability, but just the fact that Samsung listens to their customers and accordingly plans their phones based on feedback. I think that is very, very respectable. I wish Apple would do more of the same. So the camera on the Samsung Galaxy S7 will be a downgrade purely in numbers. It'll go from 16 megapixels to 12. So let me tell you why that's not a bad idea. A lot of phone manufacturers actually have done this, HTC in particular. Apple keeps the megapixels low for this very reason. So as a camera tech evolves, pixel sizes on the camera actually get bigger and bigger, allowing more light in, allowing more detail in without necessarily having a huge image. So it's very interesting because a lot of people seem to think that if you go down in megapixels, you go down in quality. Megapixels does not equal quality. It's the actual sensor and the pixel sizes on the sensors. So the bigger the little micropixel in there, the better the quality you'll get with the image. Now, by doing the 16 to 12 downgrade, Samsung is able to achieve several things: better low light performance, better action capture, and they can make the camera not protrude anymore. It'll be completely flat or near completely flat on the back, and I think that's really great. The iPhone 7 will do something similar. There have been patents in my last video we talked about, basically patents in order to make the camera sensor flush with the back, making it a more even design. So it seems like the camera's getting a downgrade. Not so. In fact, it'll be a much better improvement over the S6. Now, two-tier internals, an analyst source, basically they've said that it's almost 100% guaranteed that the S7 will come with 4 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM. Now, Android on its own is a RAM guzzling interface. It takes a whole bunch of RAM even while the phone is idling. I mean, it needs way more RAM than iPhone. That's why you see such huge differences between an Apple and an Android device. Android needs more RAM naturally in order to even run the OS. But 4 gigabytes will be standard, and alongside that, it'll ship with Android 6.0. So Android 6.0 actually does a lot of optimizations for the RAM issue with Android overall. So that plus the extra RAM will mean this thing does blaze by. Now, it's rumored to receive a Snapdragon 820 and Exynos 8890. Of course, this is region-based, so where you are, you'll get different processors. Now, Apple did something similar. They had two different manufacturers for the Apple A9 chip and the 6S. Depending on which phone you got from which manufacturer, it had a different chip inside of it, slightly different performance differences. In this case, in Samsung's case, there will be a much bigger difference in terms of performance. Some are going to be focused on pure power, and they will have a little bit better battery life depending on which one you get. So those two chips, there are actually benchmarks for those around the interwebs, so you could check them out. It's about 20 to 30% increase over the S6. So a couple smaller bits, little features that Samsung's implementing that'll even attract iPhone users to Samsung. So Samsung listens to people, and they listened about these little things as well, such as keeping the headphone jack. The S7 is rumored to keep the headphone jack. Unlike Apple iPhone 7, they will not be removing it, and thus keeping a lot of customers that like to have it with the Galaxy S7. So the whole teaser for the Samsung Galaxy S7 showed a virtual reality headset. The Galaxy S7, S7 Edge, S7 Plus, they will all work with a virtual reality headset out of the box. So that's going to be a huge selling point for this guy, and I've never experienced virtual reality myself, so if this gives me the ability to do so, I'd be very happy. And Gorilla Glass 5. So Samsung's going to focus a lot of durability, both with the waterproofing and actual shock. Gorilla Glass 5 is said to have the properties of Gorilla Glass 4 plus extra scratch resistance, basically having the property of scratch resistance of sapphire crystal without the price tag and the manufacturing issues that come alongside making sapphire crystal. So it'll be a revolutionary new technology. I'm curious to see durability-wise, comparing to the iPhone 7, how those will do. And I'm sure I will be testing that in the future. And I saved the best one for last because so many people have been up in arms about this on the internet. Samsung will be implementing a technology that has just been added to the iPhone known as 3D Touch. With their own fancy marketing and all, it will have some pretty interesting features. I talked about that in my last Samsung S7 video. Some software tweaking, basically capital letters. When you press into the screen, it'll capitalize a word, scrolling through depending on how hard you're pressing through a web page or something like that. There's a lot of interesting uses for it. Basically, it's only natural. Samsung has to adopt it. All future phones will adopt this technology, whether it's now or later, just like the fingerprint sensor, because inherently it is a useful technology, even if the software isn't taking advantage of it fully yet. So let's see. Once these phones are out, I'm so curious to see and compare them. I will compare it with the 6S as well. Who knows? Maybe these even compete on some levels. Now, it's kind of interesting because Samsung is on a different release scale than iPhone. The iPhone is newer for half a year, then the Samsung's newer for half a year. So it's a battle. But really, the S6 is competing with the Samsung Galaxy S7, basically the last fast version without a full redesign. Now, the curious thing is that Samsung is outselling Apple right now with their smartphones without even the introduction of the Samsung Galaxy S7. Apple is very, very close behind in terms of actual numbers, but man, this will be amazing and I cannot wait to see it. Guys, I'll be covering almost everything there is on this channel, so if you're interested at all in this phone, I will attempt to give you a non-biased review. I mean, I'm not afraid to admit that Samsung is better than Apple in some ways. I will not defend Apple if they're not better. That's just as simple as it is. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Stay tuned. February 21st, I'll be covering the information on the S7 and comparing some of that to the iPhone 6s. Stay tuned for that. Enjoy your current phone before you feel outdated and in need of a new one in just a few weeks here. Peace.